Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I put up a video the other day, but I guess you have to watch what background music you have, otherwise YouTube won't put it up, which I understand, but copyright stuff, but it was like music, elevator music. At any rate, it's Sunday morning, so what do you think about the midterms? What do you think about all that nonsense? I have to tell you, I watch all my guys on YouTube, Email Cosman, Rogan, everything. I watch all kinds of stuff. Graham Hancock, not Norton. There's this other deep-voiced archaeologist that works with him. I can't think of his name. But there's so many. I love YouTube. There's so much information there. Yeah, some of it's BS, but I think us adults can sort through that. Here's my takeaway from the elections. My wife and I are what you might call conservatives, but here's the thing: we're pro-life. We're Protestant Christians, believing, working hard, and being honest, and obeying the law and all that stuff, But we've both been around the block. We've had rough lives. This is like our second marriage together. She brought 2 kids into it. I brought 3 kids into it. We've been together 10 years, So various different backgrounds, but I know what it's like to be poor, and I know what it's like to struggle and tough times, live in a city. I came from a small town, moved to the city, and it was a huge change, But my takeaway from the elections are, I don't see a big difference in the Republicans and Democrats. I mean, think about this. I'm a retired truck driver, and I remember in the early 2000s, the Iraq War, 9/11, Bush had Colin Powell up there at the UN saying Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which they didn't. And I didn't really see a reason to go in there and topple that regime because Saddam Hussein was kind of keeping stuff in check with Iran, I think we just made a mess of it. And then Afghanistan, you saw the pullout last year. And now this huge mess with Russia and Ukraine and Western Europe, North Korea, China and Taiwan, South America, Africa. There's a lot going on. Here's my takeaway. President Bush is sitting at home painting paintings, while, torture went on in those prisons. We tortured, foreign fighters. We pretty much legitimized torture. And those bases are still down in Cuba, we're still holding people. But, Bush never got any blowback or anything for this. He got blowback, but he didn't serve any time or go to jail or anything for lying and all those soldiers dying and all the disruption. He just sailed off into the sunset, just like President Obama, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, when that mess in Libya, the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi. You can say these are bad guys or whatever, but here's my point: they're countries, they're regimes. The people can rise up if they're able to overthrow it, but I know they can't rise up against the machinery of the state, but I'm not totalitarianism like Russia and China, but I believe, like China, quit meddling in other people's business. If it's not our business, let's stay out of it, Here's the thing about America. We got our tentacles like an octopus all over the world, and, it's not going to stay this way. We've been a world power for, I guess, after World War I, and before that it was Great Britain and, France and Spain. They were all world powers. Rome. Just look back in history. Randall Carlson, that's the archaeologist, I forget. He's always on with Graham Hancock. Randall Carlson, he's really cool. Talked about sacred geometry, and my wife and I get into that, the geometric shapes around the world and hidden things, There's so much hidden stuff. But I just think like the Western Europeans are shooting themselves in the foot, Nobody likes the fact that Russia steamrolled right into Ukraine, but I think there's a lot of stuff precipitating that move, that a lot of things happened before that. Expansion of NATO, how Ukraine I don't know about you guys. I have no warm feelings for Zelensky. I could care less. He's a smart ass. He's asking for help. He's demanding things. That country would be done for if it wasn't for us. Yeah. I just don't understand the Europeans. Obviously, they made a deal with Russia. For the lower priced LPG and stuff, and it's good for their economies, and now they just decide, the European Commission, everything, just decide, nope, not gonna do it. Now Russia's trying to send grain to Africa and everything, and I don't know. It's just a mess, isn't it? And we saw the news of India, their finance minister, he kind of stood up to America and said, look, it's good for our country to buy cheap fuel from Russia. It's good for our country. We're going to keep doing it. That makes sense. Let's do what's good for us. Like, let's drill oil. And I'm not against environmentally friendly things. I smoke an e-cigarette. I quit smoking regular cigarettes. I know I should quit smoking everything, but I smoke this. I have an e-bike. It's a battery chargeable bike. I can ride around wherever I want, just sit there and turn the handle. We have a lot of chargeable things. We buy rechargeable batteries. I've got some little solar packs that charge in the sun, and then you can charge a computer and your phone in case, we prepped. We're ready for a week's worth of no electricity. We're ready. We got food and water and all that stuff, just to be on the safe side. But we still have to rely on fuel. I mean, guys, I drove a semi-truck for years and years. I hauled freight, then I went into hazmat, and I hauled fuel for a couple years. And it's hard work, 6 days a week, and the maximum weight on these semis is 80,000 pounds. That's 40 tons. It takes tremendous energy to move that semi-truck down the road. I mean, have you ever been behind a semi? They go through like 4 or 5 gears just to get up to 10 miles an hour when they're fully loaded. They have to be geared that low to haul that weight. You couldn't just have a 3-speed, and haul 40,000 pounds. It won't work that way. I don't see the batteries, I don't see the improvement in battery life yet. Maybe down the road, but I just don't see it. So I don't know what to vote for. Democrats, have support, which is amazing. I mean, Democrats, most of my life growing up, I'm 59, late 70s, 80s, the Democrats were about free speech and this and that, and we want no restrictions. And now the Democrats were all in on the pandemic lockdown. They're all in on supplying Ukraine with weapons. They're almost a dictatorship, And for goodness sakes, if you don't believe in the earth warming and all this other stuff, which I do believe, then, you're a heretic. It's almost like a religion, isn't it? But my takeaway is 2 years from now, we'll vote for president. I will not vote for Trump. I voted for him in 2016 with reservations. I'll tell you the truth. My wife and I haven't been to a church in like a year and a half. That's our own issues, it's not the church. But we're going to church, and I remember Wednesday night, Bible study, we'd all sit around and talk about the election. And that's when that Trump thing came out about the bus, what he said about grabbing women, he's talking to that reporter on the bus. And that disgusted me, I thought, there's no way I'm voting for this man to be a leader of the country with those morals, Little did I know, none of them have any good morals, they're all in for it for themselves. And I don't think they even care about our country. But anyway, I voted for him. And it was exciting because he didn't get us into new wars and everything, but he still kept the machinery going, And we saw he lost in 2020. We saw what happened after the election, which I won't say the date. I mean, it was a disaster. Nobody does that, And he didn't lose graciously. See, Nixon lost to Kennedy in 1960. I don't know if anyone remembers that. They had a big debate. It was one of the first televised debates. Kennedy looked great, young. Nixon was sweaty, he looked uncomfortable. Everybody's not photogenic, telegenic. You have to really work at it. So Nixon took that loss, and we know for a fact that, the union and voter rollouts in Chicago and stuff, they kind of screwed Nixon. He was cheated out of that election. He should have won. And nevertheless, he came back in 68 when Johnson said he was not going to run for another term. President Johnson had enough with Vietnam and everything. So Nixon was elected, on his own. But he wasn't a sore loser. He probably knew there was cheating and violations, but he just wanted to give his chance in the sun. As you can see here is our wonderful golden tea, which is the star of our arcade room, along with the Pandora. I have been gaming a lot with my mini Super Nintendo. I kind of just dug it out, in my containers and hooked it up. I haven't been using it for months and months, and it's satisfying. But I got to tell you, if any of you men or women, you have problems with arthritis, like I have arthritis in my back, my neck, my middle, and my lower, and my hands and wrists. And it's frustrating because the things you've done your whole life, or because you discomfort and pain. But honestly, it comes with old age, and I'm happy to have that because I would not want to go back to be my 20s. I was a knucklehead, you know, like everybody. It's nice to be older and wiser. But the thing is, does it really matter? You know, I mean, the people we watch on YouTube, I watch, they tell you the truths and things that, you know, the BS that's going on in the world, and it's like we're going down a certain direction and there's no stopping it, you know. Maybe it's war or pestilence or famine or, you know, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. I do believe there's going to be an end. I do believe there's a day of the Lord. I don't know when, but I'm sure it's going to come soon. But I don't know. I think the country's in a mess. You know, potential strikes and just the inflation. The thing is, our employment's not high right now like it was in the 80s. You know, the older people, they know the early 80s there were lines of workers, you know, at jobs. I remember in 84, I worked at a bakery for 4 years and I lost my job, and I was looking for lines and lines of people, you know, at these companies to get a job. It was tough. You know, I don't know. I guess we'll see after this winter, you know, we'll see. But I hope Trump doesn't run, you know, next week. I hope he doesn't announce he's going to run, because he really spoiled it for himself, running his mouth about DeSantis. I don't like Governor DeSantis. You know, I think we need strong governors and senators in the GOP. I think Trump's done. I really do. I mean, look, even me, I've got a GED. I was a trucker. I know how to talk and articulate around people, you know what to say, know when to shut my mouth. That's the thing. You got to know when to shut up, right? And I think my time's come, because it's 11 minutes and 56 seconds. I don't know if anybody will watch this, but I had a lot more to say the other day, but I had that music playing in the background, and YouTube said, nope. I'm like, I can't believe it. I'm like, music, elevator music. Like, okay, it's not my music, I understand. But anyway, you guys have a great Sunday. I'll talk to you about something else later, but thank you so much for watching. And have a wonderful day, and try and have a good attitude.